Everybody, looks like we are live on Crafting and Cruising page. Lisa asked me to be a substitute crafter today. She's going to be checking out comments, and I thought I'd do something. It's not necessarily simple, but it's an interesting little drawing exercise. First of all, I want to, oh, it's me. I thought somebody wrote it down there, but they're not. Sorry. Anyway, I'm going to be doing a little bit of drawing today. We're just going to draw one thing, one letter, but it should be interesting. Okay. I'm going to draw the letter E, but first we're going to have just a quick little lesson in perspective, I guess you'd call it. I haven't had a lot of art training. I took an art course or two when I was in school, and mostly things like art appreciation where you read books and stuff, but I've always sketched and stuff. Usually I sketch with a pen, so this is going to be a little awkward for me drawing with a pencil. And first of all, those of you that are artists, and I know there's going to be lots of people who are better artists than me out there, so don't take offense at the basic stuff, but just a word about perspective to start with. Get a magic marker here probably and draw something just to talk a little about perspective before I get started, because a lot of this is going to be with me sketching and maybe talking a little bit in between, but I may run out of something to say at some point. But anyway, perspective, and there's different ways of doing things, but one example, let's say you had something that was shaped a bit like a house, and this could be a house or a covered bridge or a dog house or anything like that, and you know that you want to draw it in 3 dimensions, so you need to change it around and make it look more like if you looked at a box, and in the distance things tend to get smaller as they go further away. So there's something called a vanishing point that helps some people with their drawing. If you go to your if you're going to draw something, and if you're using pencil, you can make you a dot or something, but pick a place in the distance off to the side and say, that's going to be my vanishing point. That's going to be the point that if everything went out into the distance, it would go until it got to be nothing. So with that vanishing point, what you can do is take like this little dog house shape that I drew here and go from, say, the top of it down back to the vanishing point and draw a line that goes back directly toward that. Then if you want to draw the bottom of the eave of this thing, you go back to your vanishing point again, into the eave, and you don't go all the way to it, obviously. You could if you were drawing a highway that went on for a long time, but in the case like this, let's say I was drawing a covered bridge, since this is a little bit too long for a doghouse now, you would again take the bottom corner of your covered bridge, go back toward your vanishing point, draw a line. And it'd be better if my marker actually touched the paper. It did not draw a line that time. Lisa, we got any comments on there yet? Got anybody on?
No, well, it shows 2 people on.
Well, they may comment in a minute. They may be snickering at my art at this point, but anyway, that's how you use a vanishing point to develop perspective. Shadows. Let's see. Let's go ahead. Let's make this into a covered bridge while we're at it. Here we go.
If you're on, please send a comment so I can see you're here.
Okay. So we make it into a little covered bridge now. Got. Let's see. I'm just gonna hit record on this thing right here. There we go. So now we've got a little covered bridge, and if we wanted to show like the inside of the bridge, like a track going back, we can go inside the same thing with a line toward the vanishing point, and that would show you the inside of the bridge like you see the edge of the roadway going back. So that's just a little refresher course in perspective. Now this little project I'm doing where I'm doing the letter E is nothing but a capital E in block print, just like that.
But it's amazing.
That's all I'm going to draw, but it's going to be a little bit different. There's some people online that are really good artists that I watch every now and then, and amaze me with their talent. So I'm not in the class with them at all, but I'm going to see if I can make the letter E. So we're going to put away the magic marker, and I will make a lot of use of this item right here, the eraser, because I sketched one earlier to see if it might be something I could do, and it sometimes requires a little bit of erasing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the E is not going to be straight. It's going to be bent. So this is kind of where the perspective and shadowing comes in. But
Hey, Candace, thank you for the stars. And Debbie Harris and Maria Chapman.
Candace who?
Candace Peak.
Candace Peak, please forgive me because I know you are a great artist. So just start out by expecting this to be...
Rodney, stop.
I'm serious.
Debbie Harris just said, I was mesmerized by Rodney's drawing.
Well, I am amazed by Candace's drawing. She is a real artist. I'm just a pretend artist.
Nope, not true.
All right, so
not true about you. It's true about her, too.
I'll have to move my paper around a little bit so I can get to the right angles. But this is going to be kind of an oddly shaped E. See if I can do it without using a ruler. Oops, made a little ball there. But
Candace said, I'm not a great artist, but thank you. I'm still learning every day. We all have something to teach each other. Yep. Hey, Veronica.
Here we go. So it's going to look a little bit like Lisa's going to make fun of me when I say it wrong. Dr. Seuss. Looks a little bit like one of his pictures. But that's got a little bit of curve to the ends. The bottom one is almost exactly straight. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a block E. And I'm going to set the center part of E in just a little bit here. Yet, but maybe it will eventually E.
Veronica, how did you do today with your surgery, sister? I prayed.
Pretty good. All right, lesson's over. There's the block E. Is it in there, or do I need to drop the thing down a little bit, Lisa?
Drop it's good. You can see it perfect.
Oh, you can?
Mm-hmm. It's backwards, but you can see it perfect.
I thought we changed it to frontwards.
Well, it's going to be, if you do it the other way, it's just going to flip the E. It's not going to turn it upside down.
Well, yeah, upside down's okay. I want it so that...
It won't turn it upside down, which would be the way they would need to see it.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing I told them up front it was an E. They might not have recognized it otherwise. Okay. So what we're going to do is, first of all, what I'm going to draw is not going to be a flat on the paper E. So we need to give it a little bit of dimension. So the first thing, this gets back to perspective like I was talking earlier. At these corners, I'm going to put a little line like it was going to some vanishing point out there in the distance. Just a little one. We'll make it maybe a little bit thicker than cardstock. Let's say this was an E made out of some thick cardstock paper. So we've got to go to all these corners. Put us a little line going back. And then I'm going to draw here just a little thickness. This would be hard for some people and easy for others.
It would be hard for me.
Some people can just see things and draw them. Others struggle a little bit with it. Now the struggle I'm going to have is that I took engineering drafting in college. They didn't have it in high school. They hadn't our school had kind of the basic stuff, and that's about it. But in college, I took drafting and really loved it. And that was back before the CAD systems, and we had a drafting table and a T-square and drew with pencils. And then when we got through with pencil, then you had to ink your drawing. So when you inked your drawing, if you made a mistake, the ink was not very erasable. It was you had to stop at just the right time and everything. So anyway, this is we're drawing just a basic block letter E and giving it a little bit of thickness. All right, everybody see the thickness and how I did that? Does this make it any better? Okay. Now, you notice I put a little bit of curve in the back of the E.
Yeah, why'd you do that?
Because what I'm going to attempt to do is make the E look like that it's been laid down, but the end of it has been picked up, so it's not laying flat on the table. It's going to look like it's a three-dimensional E, and we're going to try to achieve that with a little by shadowing. That's the next thing. I'm going to outline this outside part here as dark as I can make it with this little pink pencil I've got. Where did it come from? Hold on. Probably a freebie. Anyway, here we go, darkening the perspective lines here. And most everything I draw is going to get drawn over again just to make it darker. And because in doing this, I've got to make the shadows look different than the letter. And I've got to make the edges, like these, look different than the letter or the shadows. But yet, the shadows are going to be done with the pencil, the letter's done with the pencil, everything's done with I'll probably have two different pencils that I'll use. I think it would have been nice to have had a charcoal pencil or pen or something to use, but the ones that I found here were more like crayons. They would not do good at shadowing.
You may have said this and I may have missed it answering comments, but why did you make it curved at the top?
Well, that's going to be necessary to make it appear the way I want it to be. This is a kind of an optical illusion. So the curve is going to come into play later on to help it appear that it's not laying flat on the ground.
Debbie wants to know.
Debbie who?
Debbie Harris, is your degree in drafting?
No. My degree is in science with a minor in education, and I took a few engineering courses and lots of physics. My main thing was physics. Is what I loved the most and did the most of. And then when I got out of school, I taught school for a while. Taught physics and algebra and general science, but when I went to work, after I worked in the distillery for a while, then I went to a company that makes water heaters, and the first thing they did was put me in the role of an engineer, and they've been calling me an engineer ever since, even though I don't have an engineering degree. All right, that's just a pretty good looking E as it is, and we could stop right there and it would be okay, but it would still just be an E.
Because it's shaded.
So yeah, it's got its edges so that you can see it's got some thickness to it. It's not just a thousandth of an inch thick. It looks like it may be an eighth of an inch thick. So that gives us a little something to work with. But now we've got to have a shadow. And if it were laying flat on the ground, there would be no shadow. It would be underneath it. And if you raised it up, the shadow would be straight below it if the light was above it. So we're going to give it a shadow that's in a position that looks wrong. So we're going to start down here in the corner, and
Hey Grace, tell Gilbert I said hi, and so did Rodney. She said Rodney Gilbert says hi.
oh, hello Gilbert. Now here's the mistake that is easy to make when these are going to be shadows. Shadows don't need any real crisp lines. So, and if you make a really hard, crisp line, it's hard to ever blend it out and make it look like a shadow. So I'm going to try to draw lightly and carry a big stick. From here,
I have some other erasers up here in the
that one
drawer.
seems to work pretty well.
Okay. Veronica said you're freezing up, and on my thing it keeps saying waiting for a signal, and then it comes back.
I may be using up too much bandwidth with my, I've got another machine here running.
Let me switch mine
To what?
to Eris.
Well, you can't do it in the middle of a recording, can you?
You're not recording.
Let me, I mean,
I can switch because
I'm
I'm
gonna-
reading comments.
oh, okay. Let me stop this one and turn this off. Close it. I've got a,
I wish I could, but I can't close apps here.
oh,
Uh-huh.
Siri says I
talking
can't
to you.
close this out. Siri's talking to me. Well, they're not wanting to turn off. Try to get a, maybe we're using up too much bandwidth with all this.
Probably.
Took care of one of them. Too many phones running. This one I know has got at least, is it back going again now or what?
I'm on Eris now. Yes, it's going.
Okay, let's get back to work here. All right, so if you see the shadow that or the beginning of shadow I drew under the middle of the E is not square. It's not directly underneath it. So that's the beginning of the illusion part there. Now we're going to start
Oh,
here.
wait, what do you mean the shadow under it? I don't see a shadow.
Well, it may be drawn so lightly you can't see it. I drew out to the side here a little, it's going to be, this will eventually be the shadow of the middle of the E where my finger is.
Okay.
Now I'm going to draw one up here that's going to be, if I can figure out exactly where to put it. I've got a sketch that I'm looking at occasionally that is what I did earlier to
Thank you, Donna, for
kind of figure
sprinkling.
this out. That doesn't look right. I've got a little too much right there. All right, that looks a little better.
Hey, Carol Close.
All right, so now that's got a sketch of where I want my shadow to be. So that's going to be the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in my shadow and try to avoid crisp lines on the corners. So this is going to take a little while. I'd like to shade, sometimes I shade with lines, sometimes I shade with circles. Like I said, most everything is going to be gone over more than once. Other thing that a lot of times I find is that while I'm shading one area, I'm rubbing the shading off with the back of my hand on the other.
So why would you need to shade it more than once?
Well, if I did it perfectly and I could guess what everything's going to look like to start with, I could probably do it at once. But once you draw it and shade it, then you look at the whole picture and say, you know, what area should be darker than another. And you might have to come back with an eraser, take a little bit of shading out or add a little back in to make it look right. Because in the end, everything is not going to be the same color. These edges are always going to be darker, the ones I drew in dark earlier. And the shading is going to taper toward the edges. And if you want to create something that looks like it's bent, then, you know, with how light shines on something that's curved is different than something that's flat.
Right.
So in the curve, right in the middle of that curve, we're going to leave it almost white. So it's going to look like a shiny place in the middle compared to everything else. So now this is going to be
I'm wondering if anybody has yet figured out exactly what you're doing.
well, I don't know. They probably have. Well, Candace, I bet has, because she's quite the artist, and I'm not saying that to diminish anyone else. I just know how well she draws and paints, and I don't really know everybody else's capability that might be on. There for a while, every day I was getting another drawing on my Facebook from Candace where she had drawn something else excellent. Let's see. I think it's pretty good. So the way it's drawn now, there is no shadow of this bottom part of the E. So that would imply that it's laying flat on the table. Let's assume that this is a table, and this is the shadow we're seeing is the shadow of the letter E that's in a piece of thick cardboard. So that would make you think that somebody has picked the end of the cardboard up and curved it up like this so that the shadows are on the table. It still really doesn't look so much like that. So let's get to work on this top part of the E.
Hey, Barbara, sweet sister. Thank you so much for spreading. Kimberly. It's not our puppy. It's Jan and the girl's puppy. No, he's not house trained. He's working on it. He's doing really good when he goes outside, but unfortunately, he has decided to put his nose on the puppy pad inside and then pee off the puppy pad. He walks around it, sniffs it, puts his nose there, and then pees and misses. I just wondered, I wanted to know if anybody had figured out what he's trying to go for other than just drawing an E and shading it. Because remember when I sent the telegram, I said you're going to be mind blown.
It sounds like you're advertising pretty big there.
So why would you be mind blown over an E shaded?
Fatter, softer pencil, but I don't. Some things I should do better, or
No, Barbara says I'm halfway through the second book, loving it more than the first, and that's saying something. Barbara, did you read Finding the Treasure Within first, or The Caged Ruby first? So glad to hear that. And I know Rodney is.
Yep. I love it when people love my books. Makes me want to finish the others up that I got started. Better?
Candace said, is it an optical illusion?
Yes, it is.
Yes, Candace, it is. Calligraphy, shadowing makes the letters come to life.
Yeah.
Barbara read The Caged Ruby first. Good.
How'd you like Taylor? She's a mess, isn't she?
I think I told y'all the other night, if you don't know what we're talking about, Rodney's written 2 books, and Barbara ordered them and has read the second one, which really is the first one,
Yeah,
a
she's read book
prequel.
1.
And then the one she's reading now is the first full one that he wrote, but it's really the second book. Hi, Brittany. New to watching. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, and I hope you'll hit the subscribe button and go to the top of our page and hit the Telegram button and join our Telegram so you'll get notifications more readily.
Now, I got some graphite laid down. People do this all along, but I just usually take my finger or maybe a little piece of cloth, but usually just my finger, and go back and rub it, and that kind of takes the high spots and the low spots and blends them together. I don't want to blend those edges. I want the edges to stay crisp up there on the
Grace is
outside.
asking for the names of the books, so I'm gonna put them in the comments, Grace.
Noble or some of those kind of places, and lots of others around the world, but those are the main 2.
And you don't have to read them in a certain order, but I'm going to list them how they really were supposed to be.
Caged Ruby first. Smoother looking. You notice I left it kind of shiny in the middle there. We don't need it to, we want it to look a little different there than any other place. And then this shadow up here. These shadows, they need some work too. They're too defined. We need to blunt those edges just a little bit. Make them look a little bit smoky. Draw with ink, I can't do this. I have to use other methods with ink to tell the story, and I haven't really used pencil a lot. This is kind of new for me too. But I've always sketched as long as I can remember. If I had something in mind, I would sketch it.
Yes, he sketches a lot. And always in perspective, and it always looks so good. And it makes me mad because I can't do it.
All right, that's looking better.
Thank you, Barbara, for welcoming Brittany.
Where's
so
Brittany
sweet.
from?
Brittany, where are you from? She spells her. Our middle daughter's name is Brittany, but she's Britney. This is Brittany, Brittney. So 2 T's, but still Ney. Looks like she lives in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Love North Carolina. Candace says, wow, a Renaissance man. Barbara said, Sam just finished the Caged Ruby and he loved it also. That's so cool. Thank you.
And next month, there's a writing conference in town. I'm going to take off a few days and go to that. That'll probably get me fired back up about writing again. I entered another book in a contest there. It's a book that's not completed and not published yet. The murder mystery. And then in that series that they were talking about, there's 2 other books that are mostly written but not completed or published at this point in that series. So I've got to work on that. Get those out there one of these days.
Brittany says, I like your cap.
Oh, thank you. I guess you're getting to see a lot of my hat with me leaning over the work here.
It's Temu. I ordered it from Temu.
Clean up. Shading went over the edge a little bit. Make it, the more the optical illusion works. You gotta get rid of all your little artifacts on the edges.
Barbara says, oh, I can't wait.
This weird shadow that doesn't match the letter at all. Now,
Donna Struggle says, great job.
we need it to be darker at the top and the bottom. So let me see if I can turn it around here where I can put a little more shading on there. I need a lot of use out of this pink pencil. He's sending me a charcoal pencil, so I won't be using these cheapy pencils anymore. Here's what you need. If you're gonna do it right. Art major in school, or how did you get so good? See, I'm not putting the shading all the way on everything now. I'm trying to focus it so that it's going to make the top and bottom look more different than the middle than we've got them currently.
Brittany said, I love how it's turning out. Grace said, Gilbert just ordered them from Amazon.
Cool.
Thank you, Gilbert and Grace.
And if you like them, leave a good favorable review. If you don't, just don't bother. Now, so far I've got a lot of good reviews on them. Now, the Caged Ruby hasn't been out as long as the other, and in most cases I've been given a lot of those away. So I don't think there may not be any reviews on the Caged Ruby yet. So it might be a good opportunity for.
I bet you Barbara's put one on there.
Well, yeah, Barbara's probably giving me a nice little review. Some people are intimidated about reviews. They'll leave a number, but a lot of times they'll like you to write something about it, and people don't really know what to write other than I like it or whatever. But it really makes a big difference with Amazon, like anything else with reviews. That if you get favorable reviews, they'll put it out there for sale and do all kinds of stuff to help you sell it if you're getting good reviews on it. So they're helpful.
You do have a review.
I do.
You actually have two. You have one from something that just says Amazon customer that was reviewed in Australia last year, and then Barbara left a 5-star review. Both of them left 5-star.
Good. The first book, The Caged Ruby, was actually published in Australia. The company I chose to do it was in Australia. This is looking good.
Thank you, Barbara, for those stars, you sweet friend.
So then the next thing to do to complete the illusion, and it's really kind of hard because the I don't have an X-Acto knife that works really well here.
I found some, I actually have some blades in that bag I brought out.
Where?
You need it?
Well, I can use scissors.
I can get the blades. They're in this bag I just brought out. I found them today when I was
Okay.
going through some stuff.
I'll do a little more shading while she comes up with an X-Acto for me. I still don't like these shadows as much as I should. They're a little too crispy.
Okay, put them in the other bag inside.
Okay, it's good.
Sorry.
Let me clean this up a little bit. So it look nice. If you've got a fingerprint or something near the shadow, it just takes away from the effect of it.
You'll have another review as soon as I show Sam how to do it. LOL, Barbara says.
Okay. All right. This is looking pretty much like it's supposed to. And now what we got to do is cut it out. Make sure you get it right here. Don't want to cut the wrong place.
So it's as dark as it's going to be now?
It could be darker, but I think I'm going to quit because I really don't have a pen to do the edges as black as I would like to make them.
Okay.
Y'all don't make fun of me. You got to hold your mouth right when you use the scissors. And the reason for cutting part of this out is
Thank you for the hearts.
it adds to the illusion. Make sure I do it right. Okay, the big reveal.
I'm a little bit behind on
The paper was a little curvy, so I got to flatten the paper out. Oh, that's not good. Didn't mean to crinkle it. So there.
my. How long have you been crafting, Mr. Rodney? Brittany says.
I'm not sure what crafting means exactly, but I've been making stuff all my life, and I've always been one to just make stuff out of anything that was handy. So do metal work and weld and paint and draw and build and use woodworking. So all my life
Barbara says I can't do any crafting without holding my tongue out.
Yeah. Okay, so this should look a little bit
Upside
like.
down. Can you turn it?
Oh yeah, I can turn it around. That's probably a good idea.
Is this something he figured out on his own? No.
No, it's not. This I saw someone online doing things with different letters, and there's all kinds of crazy illusions that you can do. But when you do this, it should look like that the E is coming up off
Look,
the paper.
y'all. It's amazing.
So it looks like the E is sticking up, but what they
Ooh,
a lot
lots
of
of
they,
emojis.
they do to show how it looks is just roll a pencil across it.
I'm hoping the mad emoji was a mistake. Lots of hearts going up.
Anyway, that's the way you draw something to make a optical illusion using shadows and perspective, and
Isn't that so cool?
using the same principle, you could do other letters. There's one I saw a guy do where he, and a lot of it has to do with cutting the paper when you get done to give it some extra effect.
Barbara
There's-
said that's amazing.
I've seen one where it looks like a checkerboard that's suspended up in the air over the paper, but in the reality, it's actually drawn on the paper. But by the way you put your shadow in a place where it's unexpected, it makes it look like it's up in the air.
Grace says, great job. Brittany says, you're so talented, Mr. Rodney. Y'all are so sweet.
Thank y'all.
That is so cool. It looks like the top of that is just coming right off that page. I love it. Maria says, very interesting. Candace says, so cool.
So
So I guess you could do that with any letter, right?
yeah, you can do it
It's
with
just
letters.
a matter of knowing how to.
You have to think about, like in
Yeah.
this case, if it were curled up, where would the shadow be? In fact, you could actually cut you out a regular E and hold it up with a light and make the shadow and see where things are going to be if you wanted to. But yeah, you can do it with the letters. You can do it with the whole word. I spent a lot of time over the years writing block letters in three-dimensional, not curved like this necessarily, but just showing the block letter maybe an inch thick with a shadow going out from it, and writing whole words or writing my name in cursive and then changing it to 3D.
Kimberly said, very cool. Can you, on another piece of paper, can you write your name backwards in block letters?
Not me. I mean, I could eventually, but I can't just write it like some people can just write backwards.
But just no, I'm not. But I'm talking about writing the letters backwards, drawing the letters backwards.
But not. I don't know what you mean.
No, I'm just
Oh, you
saying,
mean-
when
mean
you write an R, instead of writing it the normal way, flip it.
I guess I could. Why not? Why
I
would
s-
you?
Because that's one of the exercises in that book, drawing on the right side of your brain, and I can't do it. I mean, I guess if I sat and really, took hours, I could, but. The O's kind of easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, the O, I knocked out another part. Something like that. It probably looks backwards anyway. But yeah, I don't see any reason why you couldn't do
Yeah,
that.
and the
all day
Y
long.
would be easy too.
Tell you a funny story. I was riding motorcycles years ago and riding dirt bikes. There's a place out by the lake at Tim's Ford. It's still there after all these years. But their mailbox, they had a mailbox sitting on a stand, and the stand had the owner's name written in big block letters that made the mailbox post. But what was funny was when I first rode by it the first time, it said Renrut. And I thought, what a weird name for somebody to have.
I forgot.
But then when we came back from the lake later on, it said Turner, going back the other way. So the block letters read backwards from one direction. Anyway, that concludes our lesson today. And so we got our letter, like Sesame Street, the letter E today. And here's that letter E. And then a sample I did to try to learn how I did it earlier looks like that. So I got two of them.
Where's the one you did earlier?
This one. laying right there next to the one I just did.
Let me put them side by side.
I did.
Can you pull them down toward you a little bit and turn them around?
Oh, I thought this was, what's up there? They're backwards. And, you know, they're pretty close considering they're freehand. So.
Barbara says, wow, that would take me forever. Candace says red rum. Red
Says-
rum.
She says what?
Red rum. Red rum? Red rum? Or, oh, she was
Riding
talking
backwards.
about, like murder.
Oh.
M-U-R-D-E-R. Red rum. And she gave you a heart. Yeah, both of those are amazing.
Well,
So the one that's not signed is was your practice, and then the one on
Yeah.
that's signed is the one you did tonight.
yeah, the practice I think looks a little better.
Wow.
I think the shading in the middle of the letter where it's here is a little smoother. But I think that you can, with shading like that, you can just spend hours going over it and perfecting it and getting it darker. If you can get that to blend from dark to light real uniformly, that will add to the effect.
Candace said from The Shining. Do you remember that it was written backwards?
I never watched The Shining, but I heard somebody make that reference not too many months ago. They were talking about novels or movies. Isn't The Shining a scary movie? I think it is.
I have no idea. I don't watch scary
I
movies.
haven't watched it. But anyway,
So you guys, tomorrow we're going to be making one of the what are they called?
I don't know. What is your plan for tomorrow?
The pallet trees.
Oh, pallet trees. Gotcha.
Where we're going to be spraying it with lace, and I'm going to show you how to do the little hooks. I'm hoping I can find my little ornaments that I use on mine tonight in all of our Christmas stuff, but I'm not positive I can. But most of that will be outside. So we will, and Rodney will be assisting with that, I hope.
Yeah. If I'm not
So,
going somewhere.
I'm not sure what time. Watch your telegram. I don't want to do it in the heat of the day because it's miserable here when it's very hot. So probably we will do it more late in the afternoon, like 5 o'clock Central Daylight Time. I think is probably when we'll do it. So you can adjust that to make to whatever time zone you're in. So we love you guys.
Somebody sent us 100 stars.
No, that was so
That was
sweet.
nice. Thank y'all. Anyway, we appreciate y'all getting on. It was fun doing this little drawing. I think we may start doing this some more. Lisa and I used to kind of challenge each other. We would come in with something, we'd get it Goodwill and say, here, what can you do with this? And so it's kind of, she challenged me today, said, can you do a little art project for us? So there we go. Thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you guys. We love you and be a blessing.
All righty.
See you sooner.
Bye-bye.
Sooner. Soon. Bye.